instead of.
result of the executive session. If you please write, oh, sir,
You need approval on the.
Yes, I need approval from the board.
You need
of
approval on the contract.
on the contracting.
contracts.
Okay,
Staff
do we,
contracts, yes.
all right, do we have a motion?
You need to take a motion to come out of executive session or no?
Okay.
I don't know, I'm asking, I don't know.
I don't, okay, fine. We'll have a motion to come out of executive session. Do we have a motion to come out of executive session? Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, now we're going into general session. And we have a motion from executive session. Do we have one that we can read?
This time, I make a motion that we approve the contracts, the contracts of all the employees. I believe it was 26 contracts. Is that correct? 35. I make a motion, recommended by Dr. Lovecchio, that we approve all 35, new contracts.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Could you please stand with me and pledge allegiance? I see you've got a flag on the flagpole there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. The next item is the approval of the agenda, and we have an addition to the agenda. Dr. Lovecchio, would you mention what you'd
Yes, we
like to
have
have?
one more action item, and it is in your, it's on the PowerPoint here, but also in this folder. We just didn't have a chance to update it on this with, as we're short as I.CALL. It's just asking for permission for an overnight trips when we do our state cosmetology and barbering testing. And when we get to that vote, I'll explain that in a little bit more detail.
Okay, so do you have a motion to add that to the agenda?
I make a motion that we add, you said it's on which agenda it is on?
It's on this and it's also in your actually presentation agenda. So this is the updated copy.
And what page is that?
It's the first page when you open it up. This is the addition right here, the action item recommendation state testing overnight trip.
I don't see that. Where's
Yeah, I don't
that?
see, I
I
don't
don't
see
see
it.
it.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we add an item, board recommends a state testing overnight trip.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Do we have a unanimous? Okay, unanimous. Let's go on. And the next item is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the approval of the last meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Good. All right. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, actually, I did some discussion, on the last minute, on the minutes of the meeting. I noticed, I looked at, that you and I both were not in attendance to that meeting. And the last meeting that was had, there were also some, some decisions that were made. And, I did not get a notice of, I want to go on record as well, I did not get a notice of any meeting that was taking place. I'm not sure, I can't speak for no one else, but I haven't missed a board meeting, going on 8 years. So, I had no knowledge of that meeting. And then they came in and made some decisions and of how we're moving forward, and I feel like I'm coming into a little lost, to where we're at and what we have going on. So, they are coming in, that is very, very concerning and alarming already. But I did get a memo from finance in terms of the meeting, about how we want to be paid or something. I did get that, but in terms of anything about meeting or when notice of meeting, I did. In this meeting, I got an invite, but this was after the first meeting. So, I'm putting that out there because I've never not showed up to a meeting, and this is concerning. And also, there was action that was taken, and I'm kind of lost of how they took action, and they nominated a chair. They nominated you to be chair, and you wasn't here, nor was I here. So I mean, how do we know that you wanted to accept that position? How do we know that was everyone's will? I do take issue with that was done without us being notified that was going to happen at all. So I just want that to be on record.
Okay, I think it's on the record. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one opposed. Motion carries. Next item is a budget update. Could you start by introducing yourself to our
Yes,
board?
sir. Good evening. My name is Katie Abar. I am the Director of Budget for Beaufort County School District, and I also have been doing ACES accounting for about 4 years now. So tonight I have the review of the third quarter summary as of the end of February. I don't have any action requested tonight. It's just information over the financials for where we are at the end of February. Local revenues are right at 59%, which is normal for that time of the year. We receive both allocations from Beaufort County School District and Jasper County. Our interest income for this time of the year has increased over what we received the past year. Those two, just that category is noted that it's higher right now. The state revenue categories, people retirement credits, and insurance continue to follow predictable quarterly allocations. Our expenditures for this year are trending a little bit higher than the same point this past year, but it's within less than 1%. This increase reflects normal cost growth in personnel, instructional support, and operations. The higher expenditure level is consistent with a larger FY26 approved budget compared to the FY25 budget. We continue to maintain a positive fund balance at $827,093, and revenues are stable and aligned with the FY26 budget. The fund balance continues to support ongoing operations. Compared to FY25, 26 reflects expected modest growth in both revenue and expenditures, with no indicators of fiscal stress. Are there any questions?
Mr. Smith?
In our packet, we have this page, and I guess that's what that is right there.
You should have an executive summary and the budget.
Right. Okay. So we have both of these, and in terms of what you just read, the information that you just read to us, that came off the executive summary, or was that a mix of both of the pages?
The executive summary describes the financial report.
On the back.
Yes, sir, it's a continuation.
That's the same picture, I think, that you see up there.
Okay. That's it.
This one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right here.
Thanks for clarification of that.
The executive summary is up front and
Okay,
up back. And then the quarterly financial report's just a one page.
there? Let's see this one better.
Mr. Boyer just joined the Zoom.
Okay. Mr. Lawyer, do you have any questions about can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I can see it now.
Okay. Do you have any questions about the report?
I didn't hear the introduction. I actually just came in, so I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay. All right. All right, let's go ahead then for the director's report.
Good afternoon, or good evening. Late afternoon. I'm gonna go over a couple of things. I just wanted to update on the enrollment numbers. This is our current enrollment. I like to do this every meeting. Over here on the left is Miss Primus. She is our new barbering teacher that started at the beginning of the year, but she's doing a demonstration with her students on shaving, straight razors. When I walked in there today, they were actually shaving each other. They had asked to shave me, but as you can tell, I still have some scrub because I wasn't ready. Maybe, I told them maybe in a couple weeks once they get a little bit of experience under their belts. But right now we're at 180, 32 Jasper, 121 Beaufort. That doesn't include our returning students, which if you recall, our cosmetology and barbering students come back for those half days. This is our last year doing that. The seniors come back for those half days in the morning to meet their hour requirements before they test. So there's also a breakdown by school of the students. Okay. And if you go to the next slide, here's where we are with the applications. I think we're up to 346 as of, there was some later today when I talked to Mr. Melton, our counselor. But here are the current applications. We sent out a reminder to all the guidance counselors from all 8 high schools today that we will be going through these applications to try to get them some answers either right before or right after break. The reason being is the quicker we get the information of who is in which program, the easier it is for them to schedule and plan their master schedule for next year, especially on things like mathematics, if you're in cosmetology or barbering, because they'll be in those programs all day. And, English, they won't be able to take English at ACE. So hopefully next meeting, I'll have concrete numbers of what they actually look like and who's in which program and so forth. These are some pictures from our trip to Skills USA. This year they divided up, I think we had 4 different trips. It started out with auto collision, which is here on the left, and auto body up in Greenville. Then we had our large group that went to Columbia. We also, at the end of last week, had our welding group that went to a different place up in Columbia. And then earlier, last Sunday to Monday, I went out with Miss Nunley and our barbering and cosmetology students, and they competed at the Paul Mitchell School of Columbia. So in the past, we really had one big group go up. This year, they've kind of scattered it, which was really a logistics challenge. But the kids had fun. This is baking and pastry. This was as I said, there's collision. So this is what it looks like at the competitions. The students have, a time limit to create all these recipes, then the judges test. So you want to go to the next one? I'll show you a couple more pictures. This is culinary. This was amazing. Unfortunately, he didn't place. He works currently. He finished last semester, but he's an apprentice right now at the farm in Bluffton. Incredible future chef in the area. So we're really proud of him. And over here, this is one of the bigger ones. This is a 2-day competition, 8 hours a day. It's called Teamworks. So not only do they have to frame electrical, plumbing, they do a finish. They finish the outside, then they do masonry on the outside as well. So these kids come back to the hotel, go to bed, wake up, do it again, and then they're exhausted. We had one of our young ladies in this competition was approached by 2 different colleges, because colleges also have their competition up there, so they compete while we compete, but they're judged differently and have different winners and so forth. But she was approached by 2 different colleges and asked if she'd be interested in enrolling, because she was kind of the leader of the group. She came back, she finished in December, she came back and we made some phone calls and we set her up for an interview, and it looks like we may have her a position with one of the top builders on Hilton Head. She's a Hilton Head student, and she's just waiting to hear back. She's really excited. He spoke to me on the phone, said she did really good in the interview. They're just getting through a week-long kind of stressful period now, but so this is, leads to opportunities for these kids, not just winning. They didn't win, they didn't place, but her work was noticed and has led to possibly a position. Next slide, please. Here's barbering. That was on Monday. Our student here, Nathan, he was the state champ. He's also the state champ in wrestling, so he's had a pretty good senior year. And this is what it looked like in nail tech. We had our two students, they're both from Ridgeland, Hardyville. We had a silver and bronze right here, and I was surprised they didn't win gold, because when I watched them, you could just tell the difference between them and the other competitors, just the professionalism, the attention, how they carry themselves. But they were both very deserving. They're really good kids. So we had a really good trip up when I got to go. Next. Here's all our winners up at the big one in Columbia. There's some of our other ones. A lot of times the winners, you can see here, if they place, different sponsors give them tool sets or different supplies. I know in barbering they got a huge basket of clippers and other shears and so forth. So it's really neat, and like I said, they're sponsored by different industries and businesses, so they get to see them too. So next one, please. We did really well. I mean, this was the best we've done since I've been here. The most goals we've had is 6. We won 9 different competitions. One was a teamwork in EMS, so we won 9 gold. You can see 9 silver and 10 bronze. So I think we figured out almost 50%, was it, Ms. Chappell, of the students that went up actually came back with a medal, which when you think about our size versus some of these giant career centers, and the fact that how competitive we are, I think it's really a testament to the work that the teachers and staff do here, because clearly we can compete, against some of the bigger schools in the state. It's something we're really proud of, and we've shared this on social media. The kids are really proud. They all wore their medals home. So it was a really fun weekend, and I'm really proud of them. I mean, this is amazing results for us. So I just want to share that experience and brag on them a little bit and the work they do, and of course the teachers preparing them to do that stuff. And it's an all-in effort too, because it's a really getting these kids trained up there, back, chaperoning for 4 nights for the big group. Everybody comes home exhausted, so everybody gives a little bit of the blood back. So I'm really proud of the staff of that as well.
Dr. Lovecchio,
Yes.
could you give us a little bit of the scope of the competition?
Sure. You wanna go back?
How many other schools participated? How many other people?
I can speak of the barbering and nursing. I mean, for instance, when we were at barbering, there were about, I would say 9 or 10 competitors from different schools. Hair braiding had a few less. They maybe had like 4 or 5. There's probably about 9 in nail tech. I wasn't up at the other ones. Miss Chappell went up for the 4-day trip. It was her first experience up there. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure, I went on the big trip where all the health competitions and the demonstrations, the culinary, the building construction, electricity, and I would estimate there were 750 to 800 competitors from all over the state there. And different competitions had different numbers of kids. Like the teamwork was probably the most competitive. There were probably 12, 14 teams that competed, teams of 4. So that was very competitive. And then other competitions had that many that were competing, like the job skills demonstrations had maybe 20 kids that competed in those. So each one was a little bit different, but lots and lots of schools and a huge number of competitors there, so. Yeah.
So for like a little bit of scope, like you asked,
Great.
job skills, Erin won. She was in culinary, she works at a restaurant. So what she did is she came in with her equipment and showed how to professionally set a table. You have a limited time to do it. So she had to do that and you explain it while you're working. That's job skills. Basic healthcare skills is just that kind of like rudimentary first aid for our CNA students, and Emily did that. Taylor did prepared speech, where you have to compete against others, public speaking, okay? Cabinet making is Mason. This is something I don't know if anyone would want to do, but they give you almost like a box of like those IKEA cabinets, and you have a certain time limit to put them together. I may hire him next time my wife goes shopping, because those things are the most stressful things ever. Related technical math is a math test. And Jordan came in second last year, but she got to go to nationals, and she won this year. So she's won a silver last year and a gold this year, and that's a math test. So we usually find one of our best math students and send them. Ricky and Brady was EMT, so it's like working as a pair. You come into a scenario and you have to navigate it as an EMT. Shania did extemporaneous speaking, which is kind of off the cuff speaking, and we found, to be honest with you, we found her because she came, when the state superintendent came, she was at that meeting, and she was so articulate about career in tech, and she was a culinary student, that we said, right after that, we said, she's going for extemporaneous speaking, and she did, she won gold. Victoria went for customer service, okay, which is, the skills that you need to be successful in that. And Nathan won barbering. So you can see when you look at this, there's some soft skills, there is some primary content area for our programming skills. So we had a really nice mix, like first aid, CPR. We had another one, medical math, nail tech, mobile electronics installation. So we really, we don't do much in some of these areas, but the teachers do it enough that the kids pick it up, and we got awesome kids, and this is what you get when you have really good kids. And it's truly like, I said this to Ms. Chappell, and I know Ms. Nunley can speak to this. It's like really one of the coolest educational experiences I've ever seen. You agree, Ms. Nunley, right? It's every kid competing, every kid nervous. It's like a sporting event, but stretched over time, and there's a little bit more camaraderie among the competitors. So it's just I would recommend anyone, if you ever have a chance to go to attend, because it's really cool.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a question, but I'll ask it a little later.
Okay.
Just a couple of things for approval. Our academic calendar, I bring that before us every year. That mimics Beaufort County's, the same thing. We've done that every year. So I know there are some dates that are different, and I'll give you an example. Next week, Jasper's on spring break, and we're on spring break the following week. Our Jasper students are coming next week. Dr. Hickson worked hard. The kids that are driving, that's not a problem. The kids that need transportation are getting picked up at their house. So we collaborated with that with transportation and her team. So all our kids will be here. That's really, I can't recall. I know you guys did a bunch of updates when you saw this calendar. So it's very similar for next year. I think there was only a handful of days that were not on par with each other. So I do need approval motion to approve the academic calendar for FY27.
Before you move further,
Yes.
with the 324 applications that you say you have, have you seen any improvement in attendance from the Jasper side?
Our overall attendance, I had the number 99 up there earlier, and I didn't have a chance to speak on it. Our attendance, we had a 99% day one day, which meant we had one student absent on campus. And our overall attendance has been 96. Today was 97 and change. It's the highest it's ever been since I've been here, probably usually it ends up around 95. We're at high 96 this year. So everybody's coming, which makes a huge difference when you see kids winning awards, right? They're at school, they're engaged, and they're learning. So I've seen a overall improvement altogether. When we sit down and do our attendance with our SST, which is our student support team, where we look at things like that, usually you can track them down to kids who have serious illnesses, kids who have to leave the country for a little bit and come back for whatever reasons. And then now and then you get a kid who is, I don't want to say truant, but a frequent offender. And that's from both districts, that just, we got to call parents in and have meetings because, their attendance is so scattered. But other than that, this is by far and away the best attendance I've had since I've been here in 11 years. Best attendance I've had at any school I've ever been at is this year here. I mean, we have one student out, we had 100% staff and one student out of the 180 out that day. And I know what program it was, but I don't know which student. I didn't want to jinx it, because I probably would have picked the student up just out of pride. But No, so we've had really incredible attendance from both districts. And it's a testament to the transportation. It's been awesome from both the transportation as well. And this is probably for these guys, has been better this year than I've ever had in either district. They're both they're here on time, the kids are here on time, and it just makes a difference. It sets a tone when everybody's arriving and leaving, and there's no waiting or frustration, so everybody's done really well with that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So you're done? You finished?
No, I
no.
just was hoping for a motion.
Oh, okay.
Can I get some more?
Okay, well, maybe before your motion, I think I saw somewhere where your attendance is about 180 students?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know where I saw that, but I know I saw it somewhere. I'm looking at your applications, 324 roughly.
Mhm.
Now, your budget, you're getting a third of your budget from Jasper, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm looking at your applications here, 324 and 51 from Jasper.
Mhm.
That is 10% of the 1/3. That's roughly,
1/3.
it should be, that's maybe half. Because it should be somewhere around 100, 95 to 100 kids. And the 180 students that you have now, what percent is from Jasper?
I can go back and do that first.
Huh?
21%.
Yeah, you're right. 21%.
Mhm.
Okay. So it just seems like there's a lot of work to be done
Mhm.
because Jasper is not getting what they're paying for. It's a lot of work to be done on Jasper's part, but I think on both parts, Jasper and ACE. We gotta increase our enrollment. We must increase our enrollment from Jasper because otherwise we're spending money that we're not getting any benefit from. So what kind of recruiting? Do you do any recruiting? Do you have to, well,
Yeah,
it looks like you need to
we
do
do a
some
lot of
recruiting. You do some recruiting?
In this, we start off in the fall semester. We have middle and elementary high schools. And middle school and elementary schools come for tours.
Okay.
I go with students from their theater school. So for instance, myself, Mr. Melton, my counselor, and if we were at Ridgeland, we would have brought Ridgeland students, or if we were at Hilton Head, we bring Hilton Head students. We do a presentation of the entire 10th grade class because we're recruiting them for 11th grade and they're doing their IGPs. That's where we get the interest forms. So once we get a student interest form, we email every parent information. So if we were 10th grade, you get an email from ACE, a parent saying, my student expressed interest in ACE, here's the information, please see your feeder school counselor for that. Okay, we send that list to the counselors.
What would you say is your greatest challenge in getting students enrolled here from Jasper?
Well, I look at it like this. When I look at my percentage of students per school, I serve the highest percentage of students from both schools in Jasper. Okay, the last time I looked, and I haven't looked at the data this year, was about 21% of maybe their students. Do you have any idea what the graduating class is, Dr. Hickson? I'm putting you on the spot here, but if I recall, it's about 100 in each school.
Yeah, last year it was between 70 and 75 in each school.
Okay.
It's a little higher this year.
Okay, so if we were looking at 100 in each school, right, that's 15% of their graduating class. We're serving about 15% of their students. So my question would be, what is the proper percentage we should have for a school that would fit in CTE? I mean, we could have kids over here, but if they're not interested in the program, we're just putting kids in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is 180 students, roughly 54 students should be from Jasper. Roughly 54, that's a third. And students are students. They are interested in CTE. I just have a problem with the low enrollment from Jasper. I worked at Jasper, and I know the enrollment we had at ACE from Jasper. But when I see these numbers, it is just hard to accept.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done here because we are paying a lot of money and not getting the benefits. That's a lot of money. For 21 students roughly now? 21 students?
21 for the one semester.
Yeah, 21, it should be 54.
Well, all told, it probably was in the 50s because we have new students come each semester.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a group of 21, say, first semester, and a different group of 21. And I'm being facetious, I don't have the exact number in front of me.
Yeah,
second
but do you see the discrepancy with
I see the discrepancy from your point, but I also want to make the board aware that, you know, it's not from lack of recruiting. Like, we had interest forms, the highest amount of interest forms we ever had from both schools in Jasper.
Well, so we're gonna have to find the problem because there is a problem, and the problem could be in Jasper. We just need to find the problem
Okay.
so we can increase our enrollment.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we had the largest number of student interest forms when I met with both 10th grades. We shared that with the counselors, we shared it with the parents. I know there's a lot of different initiatives at the schools. You know, I don't know who's their percentage of dual enrollment. I don't know their percentage of students in their own CTE programs, but that's data that needs to be looked at on your end. I don't have access to that data, but I would that's where I would suggest you start because, you know, it's the same thing in Beaufort. You know, you're competing against different programs and different students. You know, some students want to do the AP route. Some students may want to do the ROTC, or they stay for band. So everybody has their own pathway. And I always say people will find the pathway they want, you know. But there's no question when you're paying a third, I certainly see the discrepancy from your perspective. And I'm always open to suggestions. You know, we've changed up our recruiting this year to try to increase it because we used to do it backwards where we would meet them in the spring and have them tour in the fall. This way we flipped it, so once we had those interest forms, the counselors could pinpoint those kids and bring them over here so they could get a feel if it was for them.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
So, when I arrived in August, and, when I came to the first meeting, I also had the same question, because the numbers were low. Definitely not where we were wanted to be. However, I started questioning the staff just to kind of get some background information on a cause, a possible root cause. It was brought to my attention transportation was an issue in the past. I think we're doing a better job with transportation now, but I'm told that was an issue because you have to schedule students in enough time where students can leave from Jasper to get here and then participate in the programs. And then here, they only have the CTE courses. Some career centers, they offer CTE as well as some of your other courses, like your core courses like English 4. And some of your students, if they have not completed most of their high school requirements, then they have to complete those first and then do your K courses, if that makes any sense. Because if they leave and come over here, they may need to be back for English 4 or one of the math classes that they're required to have. But those are some of the discussions that we are already having to try to increase the numbers. Because, you know, we look at this data as well. I will say, when I looked at the competition, Jasper did have other students from the Career Center at Ridgeland to attend the Skills USA. And I can get that data to you, but we had a number of gold winners, the silver as well as the bronze from the students that went from the school. I know it's not depicted here,
Right.
but we actually do have that data. Another thing is we also have, when you mentioned dual enrollment, we have a number of students that are taking courses at other schools, colleges. So they have a strong dual enrollment numbers as well, quite a few students. They actually have right at 14 kids graduating with associate degrees, but it's not through here. But those things are not depicted here. And when you look at the numbers, you may think that the competition is not the same, or the field is not equal. And as far as the numbers here, it appears that way, but just know that there are other opportunities that our students in Jasper are
Oh,
involved
yeah,
in.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm aware of many of those opportunities. But my concern is just that we are spending
The
money here,
Yes, ma'am.
and we just need to get the benefits of it. That's the concern that I have.
And when we go through the applications next week, Jasper starts every program with 1/3 of the seats. So a lot of our programs are 18. So Beaufort will get 12, Jasper will get 6. So there's 6 seats before there's even a student assigned. So we do reserve the seats for them. And there are times that there may be more than 6 coming in because Beaufort doesn't have enough, or vice versa. But we do reserve the seats that are paid for, and then as we get down closer to beginning the transition, we'll fill that because we want to have capacity. We don't
Yeah, I
leave
understand.
empty seats
Sure,
for
I
students.
understand that.
So
And I don't know the trend of, when you give those seats to Jasper, I don't know what the trend has been as far as how many seats are actually occupied by Jasper. I don't know if this has been a history of lack of enough students occupying the assigned seats. I don't know, because I haven't done the research as far as, is this a pattern? This has been a trend.
And I can look at some of that data and share it once I get a clear look. I haven't really looked at the applications yet and
Which will,
broke down who's applying what and which programs and so forth.
right,
So-
and how many seats are not occupied year after year. So you can look at the cost effectiveness of it.
Mr. Lawyer, I see has a question. He has his hand raised.
Yes, okay. Mr. Lawyer?
Yes. I think they kind of tapped into what I was going to mention. Dr. Hickson brought it up as well as it pertains to the dual enrollment. Because we have a vast amount of kids that do participate in that program, and then also have, who take AP classes or whatever. When I was at Jasper, that was my conflict, whether I wanted to go to ACE for a skill or I wanted to stay and get my CP AP classes so that I could have college credit when I graduated. So I wasn't able to do both. So that's something that, a lot of kids, I think, especially in Jasper, have to question. But you all tapped on a lot that some of what I was going to talk about as well. But my question kind of comes around, I guess we'll look at the number of applications. If we have 324 current applications, Dr. Lovecchio, how many of those students are from Jasper? And then, in what particular areas are they applying for? I think you were just about to touch on that. So it would be interesting to see how many of that 324, what percentage of that is from Jasper? Is that what it is on the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was the 57 number that you were talking about earlier. Okay, so okay, so of the 324, only 57 of those students. So if we need to have a larger number of students from Jasper, how do you prioritize getting that number of students from Jasper as opposed to saying, well, we're going to increase the number of students from Jasper as opposed to taking more students from Beaufort?
What we generally do is next week when we go through this, we'll place the students as best we can. And so for instance, if we have 2 seats in Jasper that haven't been filled for auto collision, we compile that data, and we do this for Beaufort too, and we send it to their respective counselors and say, hey, we have at least 2 seats here for you guys, if you're interested. if you can get us applications in the next few weeks. So we hope that the counselors do some outreach at that point. And then what we sometimes have done in the past is go back and revisit the interest forms and try to figure out where those kids are now. Did they apply? And I know Mr. Melton's been tracking this data in the guidance because I spoke to him about that. Did they apply? And if not, can we circle back around? Are they meeting the criteria? Meaning, are they on track to graduate? The reason they didn't apply because they're down 3 credits, as Dr. Hickson said, and wouldn't be able to attend here and still graduate? Or did they just kind of get lost in the shuffle and didn't do that? So we've been examining different ways to track that down to help build. My goal is to fill the place and have both district seats full every year. Sometimes they start out with a lot more kids, and over the summer we lose kids. So sometimes when we really start out after this exercise, we're usually at 97%. Kids come back over the summer and they decide, I want to graduate in December. That might be probably one of our biggest deterrents now from both districts, is that early graduation opportunity. Or I want to go into college classes and dual enrollment, because a lot of them realize they can get a short day, take some of those classes online and so forth. So there's a lot of variables that are in there, and they're different for each student that comes across our desk. But we try our best with the outreach we can do to work with the counselors in their feeder school. I email the principals when we have openings as well, because a lot of times I'll find out that the principals have identified a few kids they think are good fits for ACE, and that kind of refreshes their memory, and they'll talk to me about it. And over the summer, I'll get emails from the principals or counselors saying, hey, you still have an opening here. So it's an ongoing process up until they report in January of 27. So we're always trying to fill those empty seats regardless, and we're always emailing the counselors and doing that and doing outreach. But what we'll do now is we'll try to identify those kids, we'll look at the gaps, then we'll go back to the interest forms, try to connect that puzzle, as well as, so we're doing it kind of twofold. We're doing it on our end, and we're asking the counselors to do it on their end.
Okay, and I think it's worth mentioning that, you have such a large amount of students coming from Beaufort anyway, so you're automatically gonna have more applications from them, right? As opposed to what you're getting from Jasper.
And one of the presentations I did to the Jasper board, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, was I talked about how ACE was founded in 75 through legislation. And our funding formula was identified in that legislation. And at that time, I did a bar graph of the population of Beaufort-Jasper. And while Jasper is growing, Beaufort took off at a much quicker rate. So their numbers are much higher. And you can see, when you go, can you go back one slide? And I've noticed this trend. If you look at our schools that we get even from Beaufort, right? Our larger schools have more kids. Now, that isn't just because of the size, it's also because of the flexibility in their master schedule to be able to get the kids what they need before they come here. So if you look at Whale Branch, we have 5 students. Whale Branch is about the size of ACE, I believe, off the top of my head, give or take a little bit. So they don't have the flexibility to maybe say, hey, let's offer another Math 11 first semester, because they're only dealing with X amount of teachers. So they don't have the flexibility that some of the larger schools do, where they can offer the same course first and second semester, which leads to a smaller enrollment. So those are things we're working through. When we do make changes, like when we changed our cosmetology, we meet with every counselor so they know what's coming, because they have to, that impacts the student's IGP, and it impacts the student's schedule right off the bat leading up to their time at ACE. So we try to communicate as much as we can. We meet with the counselors every year when we go visit the schools in small groups, go over the changes. We take their feedback, and we try to adjust accordingly.
How long will you be collecting applications?
We collect them all the way. We collect them up until it starts at their seats. We're always taking applications.
Okay.
We have waiting lists too. What we do is, once we get them in, we'll do lotteries where we just put them in a random drawer on the computer. We have 3 or 4 people present, and we just do it randomly. Because for things like cosmetology, there's always a large number of applicants, more than there are seats. We also try, what we do is we ask them for their first 2 choices. So if a student says, I want cosmetology, and their backup plan is nail tech and Cosmo's full, we try to offer them that nail tech rather than a waiting list. So we communicate with the parents, say, hey, we have an opportunity here where they could go into this program, let us know. So we do get their first and second choice to try to place as many students as we can from both districts.
How many seats does Jasper have?
How many seats
How
total?
many seats does Jasper
I would have to go back and look. I mean, it varies. Like I said, it's a third, and a lot of times
They're allotted for.
a third of every class. The
Okay,
classes
every
have different,
class.
of every class, yes.
Okay.
So classes have different sizes. So for instance, in EMT, we have 10, that's our largest number I would ever take, because the teacher, when they go off to clinicals, has to supervise them and can only supervise a certain number. In nail tech, we only have 16 stations or 15 stations, I believe. So we can't put 20 kids in nail tech, because then not every student will have their own workstation. They'd be, watching on the side. So those are some of the restrictions we have. But the majority, we try to get 18 in building construction, auto collision. We try to get 20 in cosmetology. Barbering, we went up, now that we have a second teacher, we can accept more applications this year. So it varies program to program, but I always say it's pretty much across the board, it's roughly 18.
What's
with a
the
few
total
exceptions.
capacity?
I would have to go back and look. I haven't looked in a while, because we're short Marine right now, but do you know off the top of your head, Carrie, the total capacity?
It's right at 200.
Yeah, I thought it might have been even a little over, maybe like 2 or something.
So it's a third or 200?
Yeah.
But
And that would also included students that were returning, because you know how we had those half-day students that came back for Barbary and Cosmo? We have them on campus now in the morning for those half-day buses. Well, that's no longer happening, so that'll affect the amount of kids we can have, because each teacher can have about 20 kids. So what you'll see is an increase in the number of, none of these judges dropped. No, just kidding, I know you know. That'll increase our numbers in Barbary and Cosmo, so we'll be able to take a little bit more.
Okay, but without you separating the classes of what this child going to take, what that one wants to take, but what is the total attendance that Jasper is paying for that 1/3? How many seats, regardless?
Okay, I'll get you that exact number, I'll email that out. I don't want to just speculate
I got
here
you.
if you want exact number, so can you, no.
Because see, we paying for some extra seats that are not being used,
Mhm.
but that's the establishment of it.
Mhm.
So if you get 70 kids from Jasper, would you be allotted in to bring those kids in over the 60 seats, I would just say, that you have?
If they had more applications than we did.
Yes.
If there were openings in those programs, I certainly would. But I also have to respect that Beaufort's 2/3 seats, and if they don't fill it, my goal is to get kids here. For me, I could care less where they're from. They're our kids, you know what I mean? And it's the truth. I want to bring kids in here. Once they're in here, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, but the guideline is what you're saying.
Yes, that's the guideline, when we do this, when we do the applications.
Okay.
So we look at that. We have 2 different spreadsheets. I have a Beaufort and a Jasper spreadsheet with application. When I'm looking at the data, I look at Jasper's against Jasper, Beaufort's against Beaufort's. And what we do is we look at the graduation. What we look at is, the first thing we look at is their graduation. And the second thing we look at is attendance.
Okay.
Really, because especially with Cosmo, barbering, health science, these are programs that need hours, and you have to be present to get them. And if you have a history of 40 absences for the last 3 years, it's hard to think that you're suddenly gonna come here and be able to get that 1,000 hours, because it's condensed. The program's condensed, and we offer about 1170 if they come every day. They're not gonna come every day. There's also opportunities for them to get extra hours, but that's what the indicators we look at.
Let me start by saying that this is I do agree with my colleagues. This has been something, my first time on the ACE board. This has been an ongoing conversation that we've been trying to fill in and understand. And so I totally get what they're saying. I thought we had worked this out. But my question to you would be, what is the total number of seats that we have total? But yeah, how many students as a whole?
Capacity?
Yeah, what's the capacity?
I'm gonna get the updated number and email that out with the question that Dr. Young had about how many are Jasper, how many Beaufort. So I'll get the total number that we can take in next year, 2027, and I'll send out the amount of each district.
Great. Also, along with that, from hearing the conversations that have been had over the last couple of minutes, I'm thinking that the earliest we can understand what students are applying for what programs, I believe in Beaufort and in Jasper, because I've had some students that have told me as well that they've applied for the program and then they couldn't get in. But then, when I'm understanding, listening to you talk about it in terms of sciences or there are different things that are being taught. But so for next year, are you teaching any? Are you having any full-time students here next year?
Everyone here is here for the full day. They take 3 blocks of their CTE program and 1 block of English. So we teach English 11, and they take, say for instance, I'm a health science student. I take health science 1 and 2 my junior year in ELA 11. Then I come back senior year, take health science 3 and 4 in ELA 12. When I finish, I still have a semester left that I can go back to my school. I can stay at ACE for 1 semester program, or I can do work-based learning.
So then at that point, then they become a year-long student at ACE until they complete, and they don't go back to their regular schools.
No, not until the last semester of their senior year, unless they're in a 1 semester program.
How long have we been doing that?
7 years.
So, and here's why I'm asking that, because it's our job as the board to make sure that we're catering towards our students and that we're getting the students that the students an opportunity who want to come and participate in these programs. So what are you saying? What am I saying is that maybe if we've been doing it for 7 years and we've had this problem for at least about the 7 years I've been on this board, that I've been watching this same conversation. I think that maybe we need to go back and do something different and figure out how we can come to it in terms of how we may be able to offer these kids programs where they can still go to Jasper County and still come to ACE and still go to Beaufort County and still come to ACE, in terms of what that program may look like, in terms of taking core classes maybe one day and taking the CAPE program another day, or in terms of I know one time in school we had A-Day and B-Day.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how that would work in terms of CAPE, but I think that there needs to be something, maybe even, this sounds like the issue sound like a work session. It sounds like so the board can understand exactly what's going on, what it entails, and so that we can also figure out what this information is, and we can digest this information and figure out how the 2 superintendents can come together, or even go back to their own respective districts and figure out how we can move students from each district to ACE to maximizing all these programs. Because I mean, these programs are needed out here, and who knows, we may need. I mean, do we have? Another question is, do we have empty classes? Can we put more programs out here? I mean, could you said one program? You said your EMT only have 10 students. When I look at Beaufort County, just alone, we don't have enough EMS out there. So to have 10 is not really even enough to give out the need that is needed in this community. So could we have more rooms? Could we have more teachers? What would it cost? What is Beaufort and Jasper County willing to come to the table to get right now? I know Jasper's asking, anyway, that's not anything, but basically, I believe that we all can make this work, and everyone wants to make this work. But I think that this may need to be on a work session so that we can actually digest this information and not have a night where we try to come in and understand this, but also we can understand everything and figure out a means, a way to make it work for in a good grade for Jasper County and Beaufort County as well. So we can go ahead and put this to bed.
That's fine. And I just want to comment. What I heard is 2 different things, so I'm a little confused, right? I heard there's a funding issue, right? And then I heard there's a format issue. And I'm just wondering, I mean, from every indicator I think we've done pretty well with getting students employed, with getting them jobs, getting them through here, and getting the students in the programs. One of the things that when we had the half-day program that we had to move away from was we couldn't take students off campus to job sites, and it ended up being, instead of compressed to 2 semesters, it ended up being 3 to 4 years for each program, because they would take one level 1 freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, And we would lose a lot of kids halfway through that just weren't interested in the program or really weren't ready to commit or weren't graduating. So there was we did a lot of research before we went to this new format, and that involved both districts, principals, assistant superintendents at the time. So we did a lot of work for this format to come into place. And, the data that I look at says it's successful. Now, the funding, I can't speak for that. I didn't invent that, but that's certainly, I completely understand when you don't have a third of the students and you're paying a third of the cost, why there would be some concern there. I also want to share at the next meeting, the percentage per school so we can get a look at that, because I guess my question would be, and that's something that has to be reflected on, is what is the percentage per school? What is it in other career centers? I don't have that data, but at some point, a third of your kids aren't going to be coming to ACE from their feeder school, right? I don't think that's what any CTE center would have. There has to be 20%. I don't know. I'm going to get some data from that and share that with the board. Look and compare our 8 feeder schools, what percentage of their junior class would be coming here for junior year, and then look at what it traditionally is, so we can have some kind of baseline of understanding of what's common themes around here.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment. I think I agree with you. I think that we need to sit down and have a strategic work session to see how we're going to go in the future, because there's a couple variables that are coming into the equation here. Number one variable is we are adding capacity, CTE, in Beaufort County. We got 2 new schools being built at Bluffton High School and Beaufort High School. So that's more capacity in Beaufort. Also, in our 7 years, the first 6 years, Beaufort County was growing faster than Jasper County. Now, if you look at the statistics that I just saw, Jasper County is growing much faster.
Yeah.
So we need to take a holistic look at this and sit down with Karen Gilbert and the other folks in the CTE program, with Polaris and their program and other things, and come together and say, okay, here's where we are today. Where are we going to be tomorrow, the next day? And we may grow into, Jasper may grow into the 1/3 as they outgrow Beaufort County.
Correct.
So, but we need to have some kind of a plan and lay down and talk about it and see what we could do.
And you can put together a plan, but the work needs to start, I believe, in Jasper. The work needs to start there, because we need to find out from these students. We need to find out from whatever, Tom, Bobby, Shanae, whoever. If a student came to me and told me they wanted to be an RN, the first thing I did was get them enrolled at ACE. It bothered me when I saw a student graduate and they told me then that they wanted to be an RN. Well, where were you in 9th grade? Why didn't you apply to go to ACE? Well, I just thought about it. Well, I can understand something like that. But we need to find out from these students. I need to know how many applied, how many were not accepted, and I need to know why. You need to start with the problem. The problem, enrollment is the problem, and that's the student. So we need to find out from the students, why are they not applying, if they are not applying. And if they are, we need to find out why they're not being accepted. And if it has to do with attendance or whatever, then we are getting somewhere then. Now, on the other end, if you have allocation for 1/3 of the students coming from Jasper, and year after year, your attendance from Jasper is 20%, then of course, you need to say something where, I'm only getting 20% from Jasper. and you paying for 33.3%. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, there needs to be some work. There really needs to be some work. Because I would like to see this program continue to be available to Jasper. And the student who is working on dual enrollment and all of that, I applaud them. But then you have the other student, the 2.5 GPA or the 2.0, who is good with his or her hands. They need to be here. They need to be here because that is when the light bulb comes on. So yeah, there needs to be some work.
So then my question would be to my colleagues, well, actually, I would want to say, my question actually, what's the time frame that you think it would take you to get these answers, to get this information so that we can start some type of formulating of a work session? How long do you think it would take you?
Well, next week, we're looking at the application, so probably the following week is break. It would probably be sometime towards the end of that following week, once we disseminate all that data. So I would say based on vacation, next week it's starting probably 3 weeks.
And the reason why I was asking that is because I was figuring out in terms of we can start pushing out some dates around in terms of when we can come in and probably have a workshop, so we can start getting some of the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and what it really looks like, and how we can get some of these kinks, the beginning of the kinks to be worked out.
And the superintendents, how long do you think it'd take to be able to pull your piece of that together?
I think we have this data already. Because what she's saying, we want to see return on investment. So we can, I'm available next week, but they're on break next week.
Yeah.
So.
So 3 weeks,
just
three,
whenever.
3 weeks from now or so, would that work?
We gotta give some time to get the data.
Yes, I mean, well, I just want to look at the applications and go through that and see what our final numbers are next week. Like I said, we emailed the counselors today.
And we're focused on spring 27, so you may want to look at what the fall of it'll be fall 26, what that data shows.
Mr. Lawyer put something in the chat and said, can we have that workshop before the next full board meeting?
Our next full board meeting is June, I believe 2nd, it's at the last slide, so I'm sure we can have that before.
I think we should.
That's right.
Okay. Could you sit down there and do the coordination with the superintendents and board members to place and time and so on to do this? Is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
It will be before June the 11th.
If you said 3 weeks, I was thinking maybe sometime in May, given 3 weeks. I'm thinking sometime maybe between the 25th and maybe the 29th, if that would be enough time. I would be thinking sometime in May. I would be thinking maybe we can have the board officer to throw out some dates to the superintendents, and the board can go off of those dates and see which date would we could get the most out of attendance out of that. We would be feasible if any of those days would be feasible, and start there.
That's the last week in May.
May.
What about the last week in April?
What about
Last week in April?
Yeah, 27th, week of the 27th of April.
We would just need to have that thrown out to board members and see if they could, and if y'all can, depending on what y'all have on y'all schedules as well, we can see what we can get together in terms of a quorum, we can just kind of canvass the board. That's not the right word, but.
The week of April 27th.
Week of April 27th?
We'll.
We can make it work,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll make it work.
April
Okay,
twenty-seventh,
that works for
The
you?
week of that
that
week.
week.
That week.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
so,
give us a date.
We can talk, we can
Thursday?
email tomorrow or
okay,
whenever we get a date out.
okay.
I just want to double check our ACE calendar.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's move on.
Did we vote on the academic calendar? No.
At this time, I make a motion that we accept the academic calendar that has been proposed, for the academic calendar year of the 26th and 27th. For 26-27 school year.
Okay, do you have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, any discussion?
I just, both superintendents, y'all both are clear on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've tried to
Yes.
align it as best as they can align it and, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Adams. No, I don't have.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
He
Oh,
thumbs
okay.
up.
Yeah, we've got a thumbs up. There we
Thank you,
go.
sir.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank
Next
you,
is
sir.
our Skills USA Nationals. This is where our students that won the gold, go up and compete, and that's in Atlanta. At first, we had about 1,000, but it's going down, considerably per student because not all students can go. Because of the World Cup, they moved it to the first week of June. It's usually the last week of June, and the first week of June is graduation week, essentially for both districts. So we have some kids who can't make it because they're graduating, some kids who are choosing not to go because that's the week that their friends are having get-togethers or whatnot. So right now, I think we're at 3, and I'm still waiting on a response from 1 or 2 kids. So out of the 9, we won't be sending out many. So that $1,000 cost was an early projection, and I spoke to a lot of the kids today, and I'm gonna guess that'll go down because we have some money we put in our budget for Perkins that will help cover the costs, and then they cover the costs, the percentage of the cost. So I'm asking for permission for an overnight trip to Skills. Like I said, the number is not set yet, but that will be 9 at the most, which I certainly won't be, probably closer to 4 or 5.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I offer a motion that the overnight trip to Skills USA Nationals be approved.
And
I'll second that motion.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, we're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I see, I got thumbs up. Motion carries.
And my last request is our state testing. Our cosmetology and barbering students are starting to test, and it's in Charleston this year. And what happens is the students apply, and the company that does the testing sends them dates. So we just got dates this week for Monday, so the kids are gonna go up Sunday night and stay Monday. Then we have another group of 7 testing Tuesday, so another teacher will take those students up. And the reason we wanna go up early is so they get a good night's sleep and aren't having to meet the bus at 5 a.m. because this is their important, Super Bowl of tests for them. So we're asking permission to support some any overnight testing field trips, because there's gonna be more coming up as the state board gives us the approval. That what they do is they go through the students' documents, their hours, and et cetera, and send an email to the students. So I'm asking permission for the board to approve overnight field trips
Go ahead.
related to state testing.
Do you have a motion?
I don't mind, but when you said overnight testing, is there dates and that is kind of placed, like, is a little more detail?
We know Sunday night to Monday night, and then Monday night to Tuesday night, 2 different groups of testing. They're testing Monday and they're testing Tuesday of next week. We're still waiting for a handful of Cosmo students, and we're waiting for all of our barbering students to get dates. We do not have dates. We'll get those dates when the board, the state, both respective, licensing boards send them their approval letters, email them their approval letters that they can set up a test date, and then they go in and they book the date.
And well, let me ask you this: what does overnight testing what does it consist of? Are we paying for rooms or?
The students are gonna cover the rooms cost, we'll pay for the instructor's room, we'll pay for transportation up there. So, and we'll send the chaperone as our, because we're only really going up there, like in the past, some of it's local. And then some of it was in Columbia, and we try to send them up because it starts so early in the morning that they would have to get up, they need to be there an hour early. What time does it start, Miss Nelly?
7:30 a.m.
Yeah, 7:30 a.m., so we would have to get the kids here at 5:30 and just wouldn't.
I don't have a problem with. I was in a meeting yesterday in Columbia, and I had to get up. So I can imagine them going to get up. But I'm just turning in terms of. I just want to make sure that we get in detail, so there is no question when we come back. If someone was to go back and look at that meeting, they can understand exactly what they consist of in terms of what we vote on. But for right now, I guess we can go over it. But we work on I guess the wording next time. But you were going to go ahead and make that motion.
You know, when you brought up about the testing, overnight testing, that's when I paused. And I was not fully engaged when you were speaking about it. But you're saying that the students will be going on, there's a Sunday night, they're going Monday.
They're going up Sunday night to test Monday, first thing Monday.
Oh, they're gonna test Monday,
Yes.
okay. And then another group is going up
Monday afternoon.
and they're gonna test on Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, I offer a motion that we approve the state testing for we approve the overnight trip for the state testing.
Okay, second?
Chaperones. They're gonna be chaperones?
Our teachers are going out, so Miss Nunley's going one day, our other teacher will go up, and then we're always gonna send a teacher up with the students.
I'll second that motion.
All right, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I have a thumbs up from Mr. Lloyd. Motion carries.
A facilities update. I got this before our last governance meeting. I shared this with the superintendents. We have Mosley Architects under contract. This is with the $2 million that's already been approved and is in a joint account from, I believe, 2 years ago, where the Jasper and Beaufort boards each approved $1 million to start the preliminary work. They're drawing up the designs, and some of the things they're looking at is obviously, we've talked, the biggest issue is our electrical system, so they're looking at new distribution system put in. With that, a fire alarm system, a PA system, a camera system, and replacement of our non-operational exterior doors. So what they're really focusing on in the first phase is safety. They're trying to get as much in with that $2 million we have already set aside for that. There's also some other needs that I mentioned prior that have come up that we may have to look into as well, and I'll share that with superintendents, but at our governance meeting when we meet, but we have a freezer that hasn't worked in a month and a half in culinary, and it's really impacted instruction for the culinary teacher. They've got to get parts for it. They've had trouble because it's so old. And they replaced one part and then they found out something else needed to be replaced. So I asked them for a quote to see how much that would be for a new freezer. So we are not running into this lack of parts when we need to fix it, because it is driving him nuts. And it's definitely impacting instruction, because he said to go to get up early and go to Sam's before work a few mornings just to get some materials so the students can do the lesson that day. If you want to go to the next slide, it's a little more facilities. This was kind of the timeline he gave us for those items on the previous page. They're working on the schematic design, which will be completed at the end of April or mid-May. Then they do a design development for 2 to 3 months. Then they get all the documents in place. And last, they're looking at October of 26 before they even really begin to look at that electrical system.
Question, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. In terms of the freezer, have we took any losses with those refrigerators or freezers? Have we lost any?
About $3,000 worth of food.
Do we have any emergency money?
We have the funds to purchase stuff. We're trying Hayward, the bookkeeper's trying to get us insurance for that, looking into insurance, but we he tried his best. I mean, he was doing flash sales for our students, but some of the stuff he just couldn't move.
And the reason why I'm asking that question is I would hate for us to be able to lose that type of money in terms of insurance. Could we? I mean, don't we have do we have the emergency funds to get that freezer? Because I think that's what we have emergency balance for. So the question is, do we have have the freezer been priced, and how much is the freezer? And do we have that money in our account? Because it's not just sit there.
So he's requested a quote, as he just mentioned. We have not received it yet. We think it's in the neighborhood of about $20,000. I'm not sure if that includes installation cost or not, so we'll have to make sure. We do have a fund balance that's about $800,000. And we have the $2 million that could be utilized as well. So we have a couple of options available to us. And so once we find out the quote, we could bring those options forward to the board for a decision.
Okay, but we need to do this quickly. And so.
Right away.
So we have to figure out how we can get that information, and then if we have to call an emergency meeting or whatever to get approval, we'll need to do that to get that thing in here.
Yeah, we also have a pot of funds called unscheduled repairs. We could utilize that. And then if we look as if we were going to go over budget at end of year, then we could at a later date, maybe in the June meeting, then use those funds, make a motion at that time to extend and allow for additional funds out of the fund balance. So we could use it right away in the unscheduled repairs category.
Why don't we make a motion tonight to do this, and you figure out how to do it?
Okay. You could.
How many quotes that you have gotten?
We haven't even got one yet. I met with the HVAC guy yesterday and asked him to get me a quote. I asked him, what do you think the ballpark is? And that's what he.
How many companies you have contacted to give your quote?
This is the company that's through the district, that is contracted through Beaufort County, who we use their maintenance. So.
So can we have a motion to?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So the quote that you're talking about is not just a maintenance quote, it's a quote to replace the full unit.
That's what I've asked for, because they're still waiting for that part. He said it's weeks out. So I said, in the meantime, can you get me a quote to see how much it would cost to replace the unit? And I spoke to him yesterday afternoon, and he said he would get it to me as soon as possible.
Okay, and if we're looking at making a motion, or as we talk about the expense itself, we're talking about replacing the unit completely and foregoing the idea of waiting on the part. Is that my understanding of what we're discussing now?
I believe that's the way we should go.
Okay, I agree with that.
And then I also have another question. Mrs. Young. Ms. Young made a great point. And I hear what you said about the about that we have a company that we use. Is there a reason why we couldn't get 3 quotes? We couldn't get quotes from other companies too? I mean, because one company could be stuck having different things going on versus other company could get to us sooner. So I mean, I just in terms of that.
We would use our procurement system, and Tonya will do it. We're required by state law to do that, and that's part of the process.
We have already procured a contractor for ACE projects. And so that contractor would find the proper vendors, subcontractors in order to and they would do their own bidding process as well. So we have already bid out the work for major construction, major replacements in this building. So we could use that contractor right away without having to go through another RFP process in the district.
Okay. Yeah, put it once on each item front way and see where you at.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So we have a motion.
Yeah. At this time, I make a motion that we. Excuse me. My mind's been wrong. At this time, he might need to read his mic. Mr. Lawyer, are you okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was having another call, but what was the question?
No,
I thought you were talking, I didn't want to cut off you, but we good to go. So, I guess the motion would be at this time is that we are authorizing the, how we want to name the superintendent, I mean.
we're going to
We're going to authorize the purchase to be made to, what's the name of that account?
Well, it depends on which one you're looking for. I would suggest the fund balance, of the operating fund balance. So, but I would choose an amount over 20,000 because you'll have installation costs and that sort of thing, so, like a not to exceed amount, Dr. Rodriguez.
Because we're not gonna meet over and over on this, right? I suggest a motion that provides flexibility to solve the problem.
Right.
Right, so I wouldn't get hung up on the specific
exactly.
place, but provide flexibility to execute and find the solution that we're looking for.
So a motion directing the superintendent of Beaufort County School District to purchase a replacement freezer. That's all we need to say.
That's fine, that's fine. At this time, I'll make a motion that we give the superintendent flexibility to purchase it, both superintendents, so they can work together, I guess, to get that done, just to be respectful on both of them. That we do that to get that done, because at some point in time, it comes out of both budgets, so, yeah.
That's fine, because my question would be, how old is the unit?
They said it was close to 20 years old, and that's why I was having trouble. I don't think it's manufactured.
Makes sense to purchase parts.
Yeah.
23?
24 years.
Oh, 24 years is the
old.
exact number. And it went down a few years back too, so this is the first time the freezer's been down in the past 5 years, so that's why I was pushing for a new one, because trust me, I'm cheap.
Okay.
You mentioned parts, I was just wondering.
Yeah,
All right.
you're right, though. I mean, this is what we face with a lot of the stuff here, especially the HVAC, and it's the same thing. They're kind of out of.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
So I make a motion that we will go forward with the contractor that you have already established to get this problem resolved quickly.
Okay,
Oh, there was already a motion.
okay.
Yeah, you got two more.
We got two motions.
What did you just say?
Um,
What?
No, remember.
I'll take mine back. I resign.
You good, you good.
I rescind.
You good. So you want to second that, the first motion, then we repeat that?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Repeat it? Okay, so, the repeating the motion was to give the superintendents the authority to make the purchase of the refrigerator.
Right.
Emergency
That's
purchase.
all we need.
There we go.
Got a second?
I second.
All right. Got any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And
Aye.
aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Ms. Chapel? I'm gonna let Ms. Chapel talk about our Perkins report card, or Perkins indicators that we have this year. They've made some changes. She got to attend a meeting. I was in actually another Zoom meeting. But this was a state meeting. She got to attend, so she's a little more articulate on explaining this. So the floor is yours, ma'am.
So at ACE, we don't get a state report card because we're a career center, but we use Perkins, the federal law that gives funding to career and technical education. They have certain indicators that they look at to decide whether or not to continue to give us funding through the Perkins grant. And then also funding from the state as well. So they have certain indicators that they look at and give us feedback on every year. So this chart shows you a historical view of the percentages that ACE has gotten compared to the state indicators. So we have 3 indicators where we get a percentage. And those are outlined here. You also have this packet here that has further information in detail as well. So there's 3 areas and indicators where we receive that feedback and the indicators that they look at. The first is post-program placement. So we talk to students approximately a year after they graduate to find out where they are, if they're in a job that's related to the program that they completed here at ACE, whether they're at a post-secondary placement at a 4-year or 2-year college, in the military, we follow up with them to see where they are. And at ACE, we received 97% of our data, so we were able to follow up with 97% of our students, compared to 94% at the state, which put us above the state. So the state asks that each school that's getting these indicators is at least 90% of the state number. And then we're in the green if we're at least 90% of the state number, which here we're over the state number. So we met that one. Our second indicator here is non-traditional placements. So these are students that are in programs where for their gender, there are less than 25% of individuals employed in that occupation or field of work in a certain gender. So for an example, our electricity program is a non-traditional program where if girls are enrolled in electricity, they're considered a non-traditional student. So in this packet, the last page, you have the full list of all programs that are considered when looking at non-traditional placements. And then highlighted there are the programs at ACE where we count non-traditional students, either females or males, okay? So in this area, you'll notice here with the state that their number or their percentage jumped from 12% to 18%, which was a really big jump. And they want us to be at least 90% of their number. This year, our number actually went a little bit down to 10% from where it had been previously. So we did not meet this indicator because we were not at least 90% of the state's indicator. So we did not meet the indicator for non-traditional placements. The third area is attained credential. So students that attain an industry credential during their time where they complete at ACE. And this past year, it was 100% here at ACE. And the state number was 36%. So we were clearly well above that. As far as the non-traditional placements, I wanted to give you a little bit more information on that. Okay, so this shows you here the state determined levels of performance. So the state determines the levels of performance that they want us to meet. And over the last several years, you look here at the state, they have really kept their number the same in pretty much every area. They are now going to be titrating that up over the years to try to meet standards that Perkins is setting from the federal level. So they are going to be moving this number up in the future, or these numbers up that we're trying to meet, or we're trying to meet 90% of. So they bumped this number up from 12 to 18% this year. So that was a big jump. And like I said, we were at 10%, so we did not meet that one. But here's where we are, and here's where the numbers are going to go over the next several years that we're working to try to meet. So non-traditional programs at ACE, here's a list of them. And as of right now today, how many we have enrolled, non-traditional students we have enrolled in those programs. So if we looked at our current enrollment right now, and numbers of non-traditional students, we're right now at 9.2%. Now they look at every semester, and we have students that return and some that roll over. So this 9.2% is not necessarily what our number is gonna be for this year, because of all those different factors, but if you look right now, today, that's where we are for 9.2%. So because we did not meet that indicator this year for the Perkins numbers, the state did require us to create an improvement plan with some goals and some strategies that to use to try to meet that number moving forward. So we did create a local improvement plan that was sent to the state to work to increase the percentage of non-traditional students enrolled at ACE. And we had several strategies here that we're gonna continue to use or start to use to try to encourage those students to enroll at ACE. So, of course, analyzing our enrollment data and identifying where those gaps are, partnering with the high school counselors to promote non-traditional programs, creating targeted marketing that features non-traditional students. So, when we make marketing materials, making sure we're highlighting pictures and things from non-traditional students. And then, Dr. Lovecchio talked about taking students to the schools when we do our recruiting. Just thinking about those things when we choose the students that we're gonna take back to those schools for recruiting purposes, and looking at non-traditional students. And providing counselors training on reducing bias and advising and recruitment, and then reviewing enrollment data quarterly to adjust strategies as needed. So that was a summary of what our improvement plan looked like that we sent to the state for this indicator. So.
I have to make a comment. You really think we're gonna get 12 males in the nail tech? How many males we have 1 million nail tech places in this county. I bet you there's not one male in any of them.
So the 12
There
is
is one.
There is one?
Yes.
from last year,
Yes.
from last year, yes.
Palmetto Bluff.
And he works at Palmetto Bluff now.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But the 12 is the total enrollment in that program right now. So that's the total number we have in there, and there's 0 males in there as of right now. So in order to meet, the 18%, we would want 2 males in that program,
Yeah.
approximately.
Cattle prod, maybe.
Yeah, and in the meeting with the state where this was discussed, there was a lot of discussion around this because it is, a lot of schools are not meeting this indicator. And, the person at the state said, this is a national issue. This is across the nation with Perkins, that this is an area where, a lot of schools are not meeting this percentage. So it's not just unique to ACE that this is an area to look at, so.
Yeah. Okay.
So in this packet is just the information from the state that gives their information and rationale about Perkins, and the definitions of each of the indicators. There are other indicators that don't apply to ACE, so some information about all of that. A copy of our full improvement plan that we sent to the state, and then of course this list that shows you all the non-traditional programs.
Can you go back really quick, 2 slides for me, Steve? I wanna try to point something out the way I look at this data. Some of this data lends itself to career centers, okay? You can see the state attained credential is 36% and we're at 100, okay? That's because we have the kids here full-time, right? In other schools, if you're in welding, to complete welding 1, 2, 3, and 4, you might be taking a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or maybe twice 1 year, right? And it's harder to get them to complete, okay? On the flip side, same thing with placement, because we're a career center, our placement should be high. On the flip side, non-traditional is hard. Especially, it's hard for every school, but especially here, because in welding, you might have a student who's interested in trying it. It could be a female student. I'm just using welding as an example. And it's one block. And it's also, so to speak, as like an elective course. They might say, hey, I don't want to be a welder. I'd like to take it because I have a free block. So their numbers are going to be a little higher. To get a kid to commit to come over here for a year, no, it's not impossible. We've had some high numbers. I was actually surprised at how low our numbers are now compared to when I walk around. I feel like they were much higher than 9%. But that's one of the hardest things for us to go and openly recruit students. If they're not interested, they're not interested. It's kind of what I want to kind of go back. Everyone has a pathway, and it's a challenge. Now, there's no excuse. If that's the state number, we have to find a way to crack the code and get to that state number. But that's one of the things that these two really work in our favor. This one, I think, works a little bit less in our favor than maybe some of the traditional comprehensive high schools that are in both districts that have CTE in their schools. So I just wanted to share like my view on this, and you already saw the plan that we put together. We have already submitted that to the state. And it really is just an education piece and I do think that as CTE continues to gain popularity, you will see a natural increase in non-traditional students in almost every program because some of those barriers are being broken and there's a lot more openness in society. Questions, comments, ideas, solutions?
Well, just get a good anti-bullying course for a male student in the male tech, because he'll need it.
The 100%. I just like to definitely give them credit when credit is due, because that's hard work. So I definitely give out. My mom, she give out the good, bad, and ugly, and I just definitely just like to say keep up the good work on that. And where we need improvement at, let's just you guys made the plan. You said you see it. Let's just put it in fruition and move forward. But definitely want to give a hat to the instructors for making that happen, because that's something I have still watched from afar, and I do know that these students are into it and they're big on their completions and taking these tests once they leave. And I visited, I think last year, or maybe during July. I don't remember when it was, but I was here. But I remember I was down in the cosmetologist and they were talking very in depth in terms of getting certified and taking those tests and what that looked like, and not having their teachers and how nervous they were. They were talking about that way before, so I know that they put the time in. So I just love this listening. So I appreciate the instructors and y'all for doing 100%. Keep up the good work.
They do incredible work. They do. We had our career fair. This is our annual event here at ACE. We have 40 different business partners and community partners coming in. If you'd like to stop in, it's truly, Ms. Dixon's our CDF, she does an incredible job on this. I'd encourage you to stop in, even just look and see how well our students do. We get compliments every year that it's one of the best ones because our students come dressed, they come prepared, they have resumes, and the way we get compliments on how well they speak to the employers and how professional they are in their speaking. So if you have some time and you'd like to pop in, that's just a partial list of our partners that are coming. And it's usually an exciting day. We actually invite all the feeder schools to, and I sent out a reminder email to the principals today to come by, because we have our half-day buses. So if they want to bring by, we encourage them to bring by seniors that not only have finished at ACE, that are former students, but any senior who might be looking for employment, who doesn't have a pathway at this moment. So they might find something that interests them and they can find a job. And we've had a number of kids, not only ACE kids, but other kids, leave this event with employment. So please, if you can stop in, we'd appreciate it. And I just want to point out that in your packet is your completer ceremony invitation. And we're having 2 ceremonies on May 21st. If you could make one, we'd love it to support us. At 10 a.m. is our cosmetology and EMS. And at 1:30 is our barbering and culinary arts. I know many of you guys have been there before. If you could make one, we'd appreciate it. just a wonderful day, great opportunity to see the kids, and hope to see you there. That's all I have. Our next, we're gonna work on that meeting. I'll speak to the superintendents, but we have a governance meeting May 21st, and then our next board meeting, I thought it was the 2nd, is the 11th.
What are the dates on the completer ceremony?
May 20, May
Did you guys
21st.
get, I think there's one of these in your packet.
Oh, it's in the packet.
Yeah.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, good. Oh, it's in my packet.
And I'll have Miss Jill send you guys a reminder
Okay,
email when she's
thank you.
back. That's all I have.
Just, next time, I appreciate your presentation. If you could just put number on the pages.
Okay.
I see you do have the date, just numbers so you can flip
That's
to.
fine.
I appreciate that, thank you.
13:30. Okay. Do we have any other items on the agenda? I don't see any. So unless I hear without exception,
I have a question.
yes, sir, go ahead.
In terms of, board recommending ACE officers, what was that? What was that about?
At the last meeting, we
That's
rotated.
just for the minutes from the last meeting.
Yeah, it was in our notes from the last meeting. We've rotated.
I still on the agenda.
That's on our agenda?
Yes, today's agenda. Coming out of executive session, that's supposed to be the first thing.
Over June.
So that's my board. That's for the board officer election.
Oh, that was,
Is that a mistake?
well, it was kind of, I wasn't sure of what we had to do because we didn't have the two board members here last time, so I didn't want to not have that on there. So, but I assume that we kind of had the election last time.
I just make a motion that we push that, push that to the next agenda.
Okay, I mean, we can push to the next agenda, or, I mean, it was kind of subtle, but you both weren't here.
Just tell me it's the next agenda.
Yes, sir?
At the appropriate time. So there was quorum. Both the superintendent of Jasper was here, and the people voted, and it was unanimous. So I'm trying to understand what would make that action not formal.
I didn't know if Colonel Geiger had to officially accept. That was just my thought. I don't know, I should have probably ran that by somebody, so that was my fault.
I mean, well, are we gonna discuss it? Because technically speaking, that's why I was gonna go ahead and table it, but I mean, if we, that would be correct, because that was my question. Because he was not here to accept it. And, that wasn't my question. So, I mean, he was given a position, but normally when someone will make a motion for you to have that position, normally they're a person, or you're on the screen, or you speak to them and say, hey, yeah, I want to accept that position. But in his absence, he wasn't here, so I think that would be the correct thing to do, would be actually to make it official. And to probably take a vote and say, yeah, that's, yeah, we'll go with that as board members. So I do think that it is appropriate for that to be on there. Because he wasn't here, and we voted him in on the position that he may not wanted. And then over in Beaufort, we had someone to vote someone in on a position, and they said, look, respectfully, I don't want it, or don't nominate me for it. Don't. So I mean, he was not here to do that. So I think that would be that is and also, do we have a secretary? What does the officer look like? I mean, is that a conversation? You know, if the board chair is not here and the vice chair is here, do you have someone else to help them out? Do you have they have a board secretary? I mean, you don't have a chair and a vice chair. I was on this board, we had a board, we had a chairman, vice chairman, and a secretary. I just didn't want to make a motion to be a secretary on there.
Mr. Cleary, last meeting, we voted for officers. And Mrs. Hazer, was elected for the chairman. And
Vice chair.
Huh?
Vice chair.
you the vice chair? Well, Mr. Smalls, if that was his name,
Yes.
Yes.
he accepted the chairman. He was here, the last meeting that we had. But I don't think we did the secretary, did we?
I thought we did all three positions. Colonel.
I don't see secretary on here. I see Ms. Hazer and Mr. Smalls, and it does not spell out what each one is entitled to be. Vice or chair, vice or the chairman. It didn't spell out this in the last minute.
So if I recall correctly, if I may speak, the chair was Colonel Dyer. And the lady that you were mentioning, she was vice chair. And the gentleman was secretary.
Mr. Lawyer.
So those were voted on, we had a forum, we made sure we had a quorum, sorry.
That was a
I
two-year
I don't
term.
think it's noted here, but
It's
there
not.
was some additional compensation. It was Jasper's turn
Correct.
to serve. It's on there? Okay. But the recommendation was to, let Jasper have a training year. And then,
Take over.
right,
Yes, so we skipped a year of board leadership for Jasper, and they'll continue after the training is completed.
And if I could say,
so that was part of the conversation.
Yes, and that's in the note.
But you said it's in here?
I think one more thing that we said at that time was that since Beaufort was gonna have 2 consecutive years, it would only be fair that Jasper, when they took over, would have 2 consecutive years.
And that's
It is
followed by
noted here.
Jasper serving as chair for 2 years, knowing that Jasper County board members are trained.
Yeah.
And,
That's correct.
and it passed unanimously.
Oh, you know what?
You know, I'll just say this, if I was here, I would definitely not, I would let Jasper get their turn. And because at the end of the day, I believe iron sharpened iron. So I would have just went ahead and allowed Jasper to take the chairmanship, and we work together as a continuing board and get their training in. And we can only help each other out. There's no perfect board chair. We're all humans, and we all are made to make mistakes. And as my pastor would say, if there's any perfect churches, you make sure you don't join it because you might mess it up. So I just said that I think we could let Jasper take the hymn, and we could all work through these different things to get together. That's just my personal notation of what took place. I said I wasn't here. I wasn't notified about it. The decision was made. I'm not sure who made that decision, how that made the decision, but normally when we came on the board, the new board got together and they picked the chairman, the vice chair, and when we moved on, we moved on from there. No one else was involved, but I mean, everyone has, I guess everyone does do things differently, but yeah, I just, as a board member coming in, I would not have a problem with Jasper County taking the chairmanship and us moving forward together collaboratively as a unit. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, so Mr. Lawyer, you're the secretary?
No,
Okay.
I don't recall being nominated as secretary, if that's not an,
So I guess we can just table that, and we at the next meeting, we can figure out, we can just take care of the next meeting.
well, I think that if we're gonna take care, that's not gonna be until what, the June 11th meeting?
Yes, sir.
So what are we doing between now and June? Are we not having an official chair and vice chair between now and then?
Oh, no, we do, you were there.
I was trying to find my notes, I'm sorry if I
Okay,
tapped out for a
no
second.
problem. As of right now, Mr. Guy is the chair, and Mrs. Hazel is the vice chair.
Okay, that's what my notes, that's what I have on my note, okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Did ACE have, ACE board, have a secretary in the past?
I wanna look in the, we haven't had one, yes,
Jill is your secretary.
oh, Jill is the board
The
secretary.
office manager is the secretary. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes,
The office
Mhm.
manager is part of her job to be the board secretary. So
That was my understanding.
Well, when I was on the board, I believe that when I was on the board at ACE, we had a secretary. We had 3 positions. We had the, because I want to say, I think it was Ingrid Boatwright was the secretary. I was the chairman, somebody from Jasper, I want to say Mrs. She does hair. I want to say, I think Ms. Bolden was the vice chair, and Ingrid Boatwright was the secretary. So we filled all 3 of those positions. So yeah, I mean, that person is like on the regular board of Beaufort County School District. We have the chairman, vice chairman, secretary, and Mrs. Cushionberry she's also the secretary, and she does that type of work as well. But they would be the same for tools here. It would be the same thing here as well. Yeah, that's my.
So you have executive staff,
Yes, ma'am, executive staff. Yes, ma'am, exactly. Yes, ma'am. That would capture it.
and we did not do secretary. We didn't do secretary.
Yeah, so I guess we can just do it at that next meeting. That's why I tabled it to the next meeting.
Do we have a motion?
To adjourn?
Well,
So moved.
okay. Without exception, and we will adjourn by unanimous consent.
So we'll be looking to get a notice for the last week in May. For the workshop.
yeah.
Nice to meet you.
April, sorry, in April, for the workshop.
I think it starts, I think that Monday is April 27th, and so it's that week.